Have you ever felt like life is pulling you in 100 different directions, leaving you exhausted and overwhelmed? Like no matter how hard you try, there's always something weighing you down? Regret from the past, fear of the future, or even the pressure to be perfect right now? You're not alone. Every single person on this planet carries burdens that feel impossible to release. But here's the question. What if letting go wasn't about losing control? It was about gaining freedom. What if peace wasn't some distant dream, but a choice you could make today? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll discover a powerful mindset shift inspired by one of the greatest icons of resilience and wisdom, Denzel Washington. And I promise you, it will change the way you see your struggles forever. Life has a funny way of testing us. It throws challenges at us, expecting us to rise above them, yet so often we find ourselves stuck. Why? Because we hold on too tightly to pain, to expectations, to things we can't control. Think about it. How many times have you replayed a mistake in your mind over and over again, punishing yourself for something that's already happened? Or maybe you've spent hours worrying about tomorrow, imagining worst-case scenarios that haven't even come close to happening. These thoughts aren't just annoying, they're exhausting. They drain your energy, steal your joy, and keep you trapped in a cycle of stress and self-doubt. And deep down, you know this isn't living, this isn't thriving. So why do we do it? Psychologists call it the negativity bias. The tendency to focus more on what's wrong than what's right. Our brains are wired to protect us, which means they latch onto anything that feels threatening, even when it's just a thought or memory. But here's the truth. Holding on to these negative patterns doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. Every moment you spend clinging to the past or fearing the future is a moment you're missing out on the beauty of the present. And that's where the magic happens, in the here and now. When you let go, you create space for peace, clarity, and happiness to flow into your life. But letting go, in fact, it might be one of the hardest things you'll ever do. That's because it requires trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, and trust that everything will work out exactly as it's meant to. Denzel Washington once said, "Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship." He understood that growth comes from discomfort, from surrendering what feels safe to embrace what's possible. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents something you're holding on to, a grudge, a failure, a fear. Now imagine setting that backpack down. How would it feel to walk forward, unburdened, lighter, freer? That's what letting go does for your soul. It sets you free. If you're still wondering whether this message is for you, let me ask you this. Are you tired of feeling weighed down? Do you crave peace, but don't know where to start? Then keep watching. By the time this video ends, you'll have a roadmap to help you release what no longer serves you and step into a life filled with purpose and calm. And as a reward for sticking around, I'll share a simple practice at the end that you can use every day to cultivate lasting peace. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Let's dive deeper together and uncover the secrets to finding true happiness, starting right now. The burden we carry isn't always visible, but it's always heavy. It sits in the pit of our stomachs, whispers in our ears at night, and lingers in the corners of our minds during the day. Sometimes it feels like a shadow we can't escape, a weight that follows us everywhere we go. But what exactly is this burden? What are we holding on to so tightly that it keeps us from feeling truly free? The truth is, it's different for everyone. For some, it's guilt over past mistakes. For others, it's fear of failure or rejection. Maybe it's the pressure to meet impossible standards, standards set by society, family, or even ourselves. Whatever it is, one thing remains constant. Carrying it around doesn't serve you. In fact, it only holds you back. Think about it this way. When you're carrying something heavy, how much energy do you have left for anything else? Not much. Your focus narrows, your steps slow down, and eventually you stop moving altogether. That's what happens when we hold on to emotional baggage. We waste precious time and energy replaying old stories, reliving regrets, or worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. And while we're stuck in this cycle, life passes us by. Opportunities slip through our fingers, relationships suffer, dreams get shelved, all because we refuse to put down what no longer belongs in our hands. But why do we cling to these burdens? Why do we resist letting go, even when it's clear they're hurting us? The answer lies in human psychology. As humans, we crave certainty. We want to feel safe, secure, and in control. Letting go feels risky. It means stepping into the unknown, trusting that everything will be okay without clinging to what we know. And that's terrifying. So instead of releasing the weight, we convince ourselves it's protecting us. If I hold on to this pain, we tell ourselves, I'll never forget what went wrong and I won't make the same mistake again. Or if I keep worrying about the future, I'll be prepared for whatever comes my way. But here's the hard truth. Holding on doesn't protect you, it paralyzes you. It keeps you stuck in the past or trapped in a future that hasn't arrived yet, robbing you of the present moment. Let's take a closer look at what happens when we hold on to regret. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens we carry because it ties us to moments we can't change. No matter how many times we replay them in our minds, those moments are gone. They're not coming back. Yet we torture ourselves with what ifs and if onlys, believing that somehow punishing ourselves will undo what's already been done. Spoiler alert, it won't. Regret doesn't fix anything, it just drains you. It keeps you focused on what you lost instead of what you can create. Imagine if you could take all the energy you spend regretting and redirect it toward building something new. How much lighter would you feel? How much further could you go? Fear is another common burden, one that often masquerades as protection. Fear tells us to play it safe, to stay small, to avoid taking risks. On the surface, it seems helpful. After all, who wants to fail or get hurt? But dig deeper, and you'll see that fear isn't trying to protect you, it's trying to control you. It convinces you that staying in your comfort zone is safer than stepping into growth. And while you're busy avoiding discomfort, life moves forward without you. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in courage. Every great achievement, every meaningful connection, every moment of joy requires stepping beyond fear and embracing uncertainty. Now imagine setting down these burdens. Picture yourself walking through life unencumbered, free from the weight of regret, fear, and expectations. How would that feel? Lighter? Freer? More alive? That's the power of letting go. It's not about forgetting or ignoring. It's about releasing what no longer serves you so you can make room for what does. When you let go, you give yourself permission to heal, to grow, and to live fully in the present moment. You reclaim your energy, your focus, and your power. And most importantly, you open yourself up to possibilities you couldn't see before. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that's keeping you from peace? Is it worth carrying anymore? Because the truth is, you don't have to carry it forever. You have the power to set it down, to choose freedom over fear, clarity over chaos, and peace over pain. And the journey starts right now with a single decision, the decision to let go. Letting go isn't just an action, it's a mindset. It's the conscious decision to stop fighting against the current of life and instead allow yourself to flow with it. But here's the thing about letting go. It doesn't mean giving up. Far from it. Letting go is about releasing what no longer serves you so that you can step into your highest potential. It's about understanding that peace doesn't come from controlling everything around you. It comes from trusting the process, even when you can't see the full picture. And trust me, this shift in perspective changes everything. When you let go, something incredible happens. Space opens up. Space for new opportunities, new ideas, and new ways of being. Think of your mind like a room. If that room is cluttered with old furniture, things you don't use anymore, things that are broken or outdated, there's no room for anything fresh or inspiring to enter. But when you clear out the clutter, suddenly the room feels bigger, brighter, more alive. That's exactly what happens when you release the burdens you've been carrying. You create space for growth, for joy, for peace. You give yourself permission to breathe again. But how do you start? How do you begin to untangle yourself from the knots of fear, regret, and expectation that have held you captive for so long? The first step is awareness. You have to recognize what you're holding on to before you can release it. Take a moment right now to reflect. What thoughts, emotions, or situations are weighing you down? Is it anger towards someone who hurt you? Resentment over a missed opportunity? Anxiety about what might happen tomorrow? Whatever it is, acknowledge it. Name it. Shine a light on it. Because here's the truth. What you bring into awareness loses its power over you. The moment you face it head on, it begins to lose its grip. Once you've identified what's holding you back, the next step is acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean approval. It means recognizing reality as it is without resistance. So often we waste energy fighting against things we cannot change. We replay arguments in our minds, wishing we'd said something different. We dwell on mistakes, hoping for a redo. But the past is unchangeable. No amount of wishing will rewrite history. Instead of resisting what's already happened, try this. Accept it. Say to yourself, this happened. It wasn't ideal, but it's part of my story. When you accept reality, you take away its power to haunt you. You reclaim your strength and redirect your focus toward what truly matters, moving forward. Now, I know what you might be thinking, easier said than done. And you're right, letting go isn't easy. It requires courage, patience, and practice. But every time you choose to release something that no longer serves you, you build resilience. You prove to yourself that you're stronger than your struggles. Over time, those small acts of surrender add up, creating a foundation of inner peace that nothing can shake. Another key aspect of letting go is forgiveness, not just for others, but for yourself. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools for healing because it frees you from the chains of bitterness and blame. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It only harms you. When you forgive, you're not excusing bad behavior. You're choosing to rise above it. You're saying, I refuse to let this define me anymore. And when you extend that same forgiveness to yourself, you unlock a level of self-compassion that transforms your entire life. You realize that you're human, imperfect, and worthy of love despite your flaws. As you continue on this journey of letting go, remember this, it's not a one-time event, it's a daily practice. Life will always present challenges, moments that test your ability to release what no longer serves you, but each time you choose to let go, you strengthen your capacity for peace. You train your mind to focus on what truly matters, instead of getting caught up in distractions. And slowly but surely, you begin to notice a shift, not just in how you feel, but in how you experience life itself. Colors seem brighter. Sounds feel richer. Even the smallest moments carry a sense of wonder because you're fully present for them. Letting go also teaches you an invaluable lesson, that happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you cultivate. Too often we believe that if we achieve a certain goal, acquire a specific possession, or reach a particular milestone, then we'll finally be happy. But happiness doesn't work that way. True happiness comes from within. It's the result of aligning your actions with your values, of living authentically, and of embracing the ebb and flow of life with grace and gratitude. When you let go of external expectations and focus on nurturing your inner world, you tap into a wellspring of joy that no one can take away from you. So where does this leave you right here, right now? At the edge of possibility. Every breath you take is an invitation to release what holds you back and embrace what sets you free. You don't have to figure it all out at once. Start small. Let go of one thought, one emotion, one habit that no longer serves you. Trust that each step you take brings you closer to the peace you seek. And as you move forward, remember this. Letting go isn't losing, it's gaining. Gaining clarity, gaining freedom, gaining the life you were always meant to live. Acceptance is the bridge between struggle and peace. It's the moment you stop fighting against the tide and instead learn to swim with it. But let me be clear. Acceptance isn't passive resignation. It's not about throwing up your hands and saying whatever will be, will be. No, acceptance is an active choice, a decision to meet life where it is without resistance. And when you embrace this mindset, something remarkable happens. You begin to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. You realize that every situation, no matter how difficult, carries within it a lesson waiting to be uncovered. Think about the last time you resisted something in your life. Maybe it was a change at work, a disagreement with someone close to you, or even a personal setback. How did that resistance feel? Heavy, right? Like carrying a weight that only grew heavier the longer you held on. That's because resistance drains your energy. It keeps you stuck in a loop of frustration and dissatisfaction, preventing you from moving forward. But what if, instead of resisting, you chose to accept? What if you said to yourself, this is where I am right now, and I'm going to make the best of it? Acceptance doesn't erase the problem, it transforms your relationship with it. Suddenly, you're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're a participant in your own life, actively shaping how you respond to what comes your way. One of the most powerful aspects of acceptance is that it shifts your focus from what you can't control to what you can. So much of our stress comes from trying to change things outside of our influence, other people's opinions, past events, or future outcomes. But here's the truth. You can't control any of those things. What you can control is how you react, how you interpret, and how you move forward. When you accept reality as it is, you free yourself from the exhausting effort of trying to manipulate the uncontrollable. You redirect your energy toward actions that actually matter, actions that align with your values and bring you closer to the life you want. Let's talk about failure for a moment. Failure is one of the hardest things to accept, yet it's also one of the most universal human experiences. Everyone fails, everyone makes mistakes, but what separates those who thrive from those who stay stuck is their ability to reframe failure, not as a reflection of their worth, but as feedback for growth. When you accept failure as part of the process, it loses its power to define you. Instead of seeing it as the end, you start to view it as a stepping stone. Each misstep becomes a teacher, showing you what to do differently next time. And each lesson brings you one step closer to success. But acceptance isn't just about big moments like failure or major changes. It's also about the small, everyday struggles, the traffic jam that makes you late, the rainy day that ruins your plans, the minor annoyances that seem insignificant on their own but add up over time. These are the moments where acceptance can truly shine. By choosing to accept these little inconveniences instead of resisting them, you conserve your energy for what really matters. You train your mind to adapt, to remain calm in the face of chaos, and to find peace even in imperfection. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. If I accept everything, doesn't that mean I'm settling? Doesn't that mean I'm giving up on my dreams? Absolutely not. Acceptance and ambition aren't opposites, they're partners. Acceptance allows you to see reality clearly, while ambition drives you to create change within that reality. When you accept where you are, you gain clarity about where you want to go. You stop wasting time wishing things were different and start taking meaningful action to shape your future. In fact, acceptance often fuels greater determination because it removes the emotional weight of resistance, leaving you lighter, sharper, and more focused. Another beautiful thing about acceptance is that it fosters gratitude. When you stop fighting against what is, you begin to notice the good that already exists in your life. Gratitude and acceptance go hand in hand. They both require you to be fully present, to acknowledge the richness of the moment you're in. And when you combine these two practices, something magical happens. Your perspective shifts. You start to see challenges not as burdens, but as blessings in disguise. You recognize that even the hardest moments carry gifts, if only you're willing to look for them. So how do you cultivate acceptance in your daily life? Start by practicing mindfulness. Pay attention to your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Notice when resistance arises, the tension in your body, the racing thoughts in your mind, and gently remind yourself that you have a choice. You can resist or you can release. Choose release. Breathe through the discomfort. Trust that this moment, no matter how difficult, will pass. And as you practice this over and over again, you'll find that acceptance becomes second nature. It becomes your default response, your anchor in turbulent times. Remember, acceptance isn't about lowering your standards or abandoning your goals. It's about embracing reality so fully that you become unstoppable. When you stop fighting against life and start working with it, you unlock a level of resilience and inner strength that nothing can shake. You prove to yourself that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, not because you're perfect, but because you've learned to flow with the rhythm of life. And in doing so, you discover a profound sense of peace that no external circumstance can take away. Trust is the foundation of everything. Without it, life becomes a constant battle, a fight against uncertainty, fear, and doubt. But when you learn to trust, something incredible happens. You find peace. Not the fleeting kind that comes from temporary comfort or external validation, but the deep, unwavering peace that stems from knowing you are exactly where you're meant to be. Trusting the process means believing that even when you can't see the path ahead, there's a greater purpose unfolding, one that will lead you to growth, fulfillment, and joy. Think about how often we resist uncertainty. We crave guarantees, clear directions, and predictable outcomes. Yet life rarely works that way. It's messy, unpredictable, and full of twists and turns. When faced with the unknown, our instinct is to cling to what feels safe, to stay in the familiar even if it no longer serves us. But here's the paradox. Safety doesn't bring freedom. In fact, staying stuck in your comfort zone keeps you from experiencing the richness of life. Growth happens outside of certainty. It happens when you take a leap of faith, trusting that the universe or whatever higher power you believe in has your back. Trusting the process isn't blind optimism. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything will magically work out. Instead, it's about having faith in your ability to navigate whatever comes your way. It's about knowing that every experience, good or bad, is shaping you into the person you're meant to become. Life's greatest lessons often come wrapped in difficulty, but they're lessons nonetheless. And when you trust that these moments are part of your journey, you stop seeing them as punishments or mistakes. You start to view them as stepping stones towards something greater. Consider this. Have you ever looked back on a tough time and realized how much it taught you? Maybe it was a painful breakup that helped you understand what you truly want in relationships. Or perhaps it was a career setback that pushed you to pursue a passion you'd been too afraid to try. Those moments didn't feel good at the time, but now you see their value. That's the beauty of trusting the process. You don't always have to know why something is happening. You just have to trust that it's leading you somewhere meaningful. But how do you build this kind of trust? How do you let go of the need for control and surrender to the flow of life? The first step is self-awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts and emotions. Notice when fear or doubt creeps in, whispering that you're not strong enough, smart enough, or lucky enough to handle what's coming. Acknowledge those feelings without letting them dictate your actions. Remind yourself that you've overcome challenges before, and you'll do it again. Each time you choose courage over fear, you strengthen your trust in yourself and in the process. Another key element of trust is patience. We live in a world obsessed with instant results. If we don't see progress immediately, we assume we're failing. But real transformation takes time. Just like a seed needs water, sunlight, and care before it blooms into a flower, your dreams and goals require nurturing and persistence. Trusting the process means giving yourself permission to grow at your own pace. It means celebrating small victories along the way and understanding that setbacks are simply part of the journey, not signs that you're off track. Let's talk about faith for a moment. Faith isn't reserved for religious beliefs. It's a universal force that connects us all. It's the quiet voice inside you that says, keep going. It's the hope that whispers, you'll get through this. Faith reminds you that you're never alone, that there's a larger plan at work, even if you can't see it yet. When you combine faith with action, you create unstoppable momentum. You move forward, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust that the answers will reveal themselves in time. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate trust is by focusing on gratitude. Gratitude shifts your perspective from lack to abundance. Instead of fixating on what's missing, you begin to appreciate what's already present in your life. This simple shift creates a ripple effect. The more you focus on what's working, the more you attract positive experiences. And the more you see evidence of good things happening, the easier it becomes to trust that more good is on its way. Gratitude acts as a bridge between fear and faith, helping you cross over from resistance to acceptance. Now, I want you to think about a time when you took a risk and trusted the process. Maybe you applied for a job you weren't sure you'd get, moved to a new city without a plan, or started a project despite feeling unprepared. How did it feel afterward? Chances are you felt proud, not just of the outcome, but of the courage it took to take that first step. That's the magic of trust. It empowers you to act, even when you're uncertain. It reminds you that you're capable of far more than you give yourself credit for. As you continue to trust the process, remember this: life unfolds in its own timing. Sometimes things happen quickly and effortlessly. Other times, progress feels slow and frustrating. But both are necessary parts of the journey. The fast moments teach you to seize opportunities, while the slow moments teach you patience and resilience. Together, they shape you into someone who can handle anything life throws your way. So how will you choose to show up today? Will you resist the unknown, clinging to what feels safe, or will you take a deep breath, step into the uncertainty, and trust that everything is working out for your highest good? The choice is yours. And when you choose trust, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities. A world where peace isn't just a destination, but a way of being. Failure is not the enemy. It's the teacher. It's the quiet guide that shows up in moments of struggle, whispering truths we might otherwise ignore. Yet so often we treat failure like a roadblock instead of a stepping stone. We see it as proof that we're not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough to succeed. But what if failure isn't something to fear? What if it's actually the key to unlocking your greatest potential? When you reframe failure not as an endpoint, but as feedback, you begin to see it for what it truly is: an opportunity to grow. Think about some of the most successful people you admire. Were they born with all the answers? Did they achieve greatness without stumbling along the way? Of course not. Every success story is built on a foundation of setbacks, mistakes, and lessons learned the hard way. Failure is the price of progress, the tuition you pay for growth. Without it, there would be no innovation, no breakthroughs, no transformation. So why do we resist it so fiercely? Why do we let it define us instead of teaching us? The truth is, failure feels personal. When things don't go as planned, our minds immediately jump to conclusions. I'm not cut out for this. I'll never get it right. What will others think? These thoughts are natural. They're part of being human, but they're also limiting. They keep us stuck in shame and self-doubt, preventing us from seeing the bigger picture. Failure isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of your effort. And effort, no matter how imperfect, is always valuable. Every attempt brings you closer to mastery. Every misstep reveals a new path forward. Let's break this down further. When you fail, you gain two invaluable gifts: clarity and resilience. Clarity comes from understanding what doesn't work, which helps you refine your approach. Resilience comes from picking yourself back up, proving to yourself that you can handle adversity. Together, these qualities make you stronger, wiser, and more equipped to face future challenges. Failure strips away the illusion of perfection and replaces it with the reality of progress. It reminds you that success isn't about getting everything right, it's about learning, adapting, and persevering. But here's the catch. Failure only teaches you if you're willing to listen. Too often we brush past our mistakes, eager to move on without reflecting on what went wrong. Or worse, we dwell on them obsessively, replaying them in our minds until they become sources of pain rather than insight. Neither approach serves you. The key is to strike a balance, to acknowledge your failures honestly, extract the lessons they offer, and then release them with grace. This process transforms failure from a burden into a tool, one that sharpens your skills and deepens your wisdom. Now imagine applying this mindset to your own life. Think about a recent setback you experienced. How did you respond? Did you beat yourself up over it, letting it reinforce negative beliefs about your abilities? Or did you pause, take a step back, and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? When you shift your perspective, failure becomes less intimidating. It loses its power to paralyze you because you realize it's not the end. It's the beginning of something better. Each failure is a puzzle piece, fitting into the larger picture of your journey. One of the most empowering aspects of embracing failure is that it builds confidence. Yes, you read that right. Failure builds confidence. When you face your fears head on and survive, you prove to yourself that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids risk and start seeing yourself as someone who thrives in uncertainty. This shift in identity changes everything. It opens doors you once thought were closed and gives you the courage to pursue dreams you once deemed impossible. Another powerful lesson failure teaches is humility. Success can sometimes inflate our egos, making us believe we have all the answers. Failure humbles us, reminding us that we're works in progress. It forces us to rely on others, seek guidance, and admit when we don't know something. In doing so, it fosters connection and collaboration. Some of the strongest relationships are forged in moments of vulnerability where people come together to support each other through shared struggles. Failure in this sense becomes a bridge, a way to deepen bonds and build community. So, how do you embrace failure in your daily life? Start by reframing your language. Instead of saying, I failed, try saying, I learned. Focus on the insights gained rather than the outcome achieved. Celebrate the fact that you took action, even if the result wasn't what you hoped for. Over time, this simple shift in mindset will change how you view challenges. You'll stop seeing them as threats and start seeing them as opportunities to grow. Remember, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every great achievement is paved with moments of doubt, frustration, and defeat. The difference lies in how you respond. Will you let failure stop you, or will you use it as fuel to keep going? Trust me, the choice you make today will shape the person you become tomorrow. And when you choose to embrace failure, you unlock a level of resilience and determination that nothing can shake. Strength isn't always loud. It doesn't always roar or demand attention. Sometimes the greatest strength lies in vulnerability, the courage to show up as you are, without pretense or armor. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. People think it's a sign of weakness, something to be avoided at all costs. But the truth is, vulnerability is where real power resides. It's the gateway to authenticity, connection, and transformation. When you embrace vulnerability, you stop hiding from yourself and the world. And in doing so, you unlock a level of strength that fear could never match. Think about the walls we build around ourselves. These walls are constructed brick by brick, each one placed there to protect us from pain, rejection, or judgment. At first, they feel necessary. They shield us from harm and give us a sense of control. But over time, those walls do more than protect. They isolate. They keep others out, yes, but they also trap us inside. We become prisoners of our own making, cut off from the very experiences that make life meaningful. Love, trust, growth. Vulnerability is the act of tearing down those walls brick by brick until you stand exposed, not because you're weak, but because you're brave enough to be seen. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, something incredible happens. You create space for genuine connection. Human beings are wired for relationships, yet so many of us struggle to form deep, authentic bonds. Why? Because we're afraid to let others see the parts of us that feel broken or imperfect. We fear that if they knew the truth, if they saw our flaws, they'd walk away. But here's the irony. It's precisely those imperfections that draw people closer. When you share your struggles, your fears, your humanity, you give others permission to do the same. You create a safe space where both of you can be fully, unapologetically yourselves. And that's where true connection thrives. Vulnerability also teaches you self-compassion. So often we're harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else. We hold ourselves to impossible standards, punishing ourselves for every mistake or misstep. But when you embrace vulnerability, you begin to treat yourself with kindness. You acknowledge that you're human, that it's okay to not have all the answers, to stumble, to feel lost sometimes. This shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of berating yourself for your shortcomings, you start celebrating your efforts. You recognize that showing up, even when it's hard, is an act of courage worth honoring. Let's talk about how vulnerability fuels personal growth. Growth requires risk, and risk requires stepping into the unknown. Whether it's starting a new project, having a difficult conversation, or pursuing a dream that feels out of reach, these moments demand that you let go of certainty and embrace uncertainty. Vulnerability is what allows you to take that leap. It's what gives you the courage to say, I don't know how this will turn out, but I'm willing to try. And every time you do, you expand your capacity for resilience, creativity, and confidence. But embracing vulnerability isn't easy. It requires confronting some of your deepest fears. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being misunderstood. These fears are natural. They're part of being human. The key is to acknowledge them without letting them control you. When you feel the urge to retreat, to put your guard back up, remind yourself why vulnerability matters. Remind yourself that every time you choose courage over comfort, you grow stronger. You prove to yourself that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way, not because you're invincible, but because you're willing to face your fears head on. One of the most beautiful aspects of vulnerability is that it fosters gratitude. When you open yourself up to life fully, embracing both its joys and its challenges, you begin to appreciate the richness of the human experience. You realize that pain and beauty are two sides of the same coin, each giving meaning to the other. Vulnerability helps you see this truth clearly. It teaches you to savor the moments of connection, to cherish the lessons learned through struggle, and to find peace in the ebb and flow of life. Now, imagine living a life rooted in vulnerability. Imagine waking up each day unafraid to be yourself, unafraid to take risks, unafraid to love deeply and authentically. How would that feel? Liberating, right? Because here's the secret. Vulnerability doesn't just transform your relationships with others, it transforms your relationship with yourself. It strips away the layers of fear and doubt, leaving behind the essence of who you truly are. And when you live from that place of authenticity, you radiate a kind of strength that inspires everyone around you. So how do you practice vulnerability in your daily life? Start small. Share something honest with someone you trust. A fear, a hope, a moment of uncertainty. Notice how it feels to let someone see you as you are, without filters or defenses. Pay attention to the response you receive, not just from others, but from within yourself. Over time, you'll find that vulnerability becomes less intimidating and more empowering. It becomes your superpower, your tool for creating a life filled with meaning, connection, and purpose. Remember, vulnerability isn't about oversharing or exposing yourself recklessly. It's about knowing when and where to open up, trusting your instincts, and honoring your boundaries. True vulnerability is intentional. It's a conscious choice to show up fully, even when it's uncomfortable. And when you make that choice consistently, you discover that strength isn't about having all the answers. It's about being brave enough to ask the questions, to seek, to explore, and to grow. The voice inside your head can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. For most of us, it's the latter. That inner critic whispers lies, plants seeds of doubt, and amplifies our fears until they feel insurmountable. It tells you that you're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough to pursue your dreams. But here's the truth. That voice isn't you. It's a collection of old beliefs, past experiences, and societal expectations that have taken root in your mind. And the moment you realize this, you gain the power to silence it for good. Think about how often that inner critic shows up in your life. Maybe it's when you're about to take a risk, like applying for a new job or sharing an idea with others. Or perhaps it strikes late at night, replaying every mistake you've ever made and convincing you that you'll never succeed. Whatever form it takes, the result is always the same. It keeps you stuck. It convinces you to play small, to avoid stepping into the spotlight, to settle for less than you deserve. But why does it have so much power over you? Because you've been listening to it for years, maybe even decades. You've given it a seat at the table, allowing it to dictate your choices and shape your reality. The good news: you can kick it out anytime you want. Silencing the inner critic starts with awareness. You can't fight what you don't see, so the first step is recognizing when that voice appears. Pay attention to your thoughts. Notice when they shift from constructive feedback to harsh judgment. Does it call you names? Does it predict failure before you've even tried? These are red flags that the inner critic is at work. Once you identify its patterns, you can begin to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Would I say this to someone I love? More often than not, the answer will be no. And that's your cue to rewrite the narrative. Replacing negative self-talk with self-compassion is one of the most powerful things you can do for your mental and emotional well-being. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. Instead of berating yourself for making a mistake, remind yourself that mistakes are part of being human. Instead of calling yourself a failure, acknowledge the effort you put in and celebrate your willingness to try. This simple shift in language transforms how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. When you speak to yourself with love, you create a foundation of confidence and resilience that nothing can shake. But silencing the inner critic isn't just about changing your words. It's about changing your mindset. The inner critic thrives on perfectionism, the belief that you must be flawless to be valued. Perfectionism is a trap, though. It sets impossible standards and punishes you for failing to meet them. The antidote? Embracing imperfection. Understand that growth comes from trial and error, not from getting everything right the first time. Every stumble, every misstep is proof that you're moving forward, not backward. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you free yourself to explore, experiment, and evolve without fear of judgment. Another key strategy for silencing the inner critic is focusing on your strengths. The inner critic loves to magnify your weaknesses, but it rarely acknowledges your talents and accomplishments. Don't let it define you. Take time to reflect on what you're good at, what brings you joy, and what makes you unique. Write these things down if you need to. Keep them close as a reminder of who you truly are beneath the noise of self-doubt. When you anchor yourself in your strengths, the inner critic loses its power. It becomes easier to dismiss its lies because you know they don't align with reality. Let's talk about action for a moment. Action is the ultimate weapon against the inner critic. The more you act, the less room there is for doubt to take hold. Think about it. When you're busy doing, you don't have time to overthink. Each step you take builds momentum, proving to yourself that you're capable of far more than your inner critic would have you believe. Start small if you need to. Take one tiny action toward your goal today, then another tomorrow. Over time, those actions add up, creating evidence that silences the critic once and for all. Now, Imagine living without that voice holding you back. Imagine waking up each day excited to tackle challenges, knowing that you're supported by a mindset of self-belief and compassion. How much lighter would you feel? How much further could you go? Silencing the inner critic doesn't mean you'll never experience doubt again. That's unrealistic. What it means is that when doubt arises, you'll have the tools to confront it, dismantle it, and keep moving forward. You'll reclaim your power and use it to build a life filled with purpose and possibility. So, how will you silence your inner critic today? Will you start by challenging a negative thought? Will you practice speaking to yourself with kindness, or will you take bold action despite the fear? Whatever you choose, remember this. The voice inside your head doesn't get the final say. You do. You have the strength, the wisdom, and the courage to rise above its noise and step into your greatness. And every time you do, you prove to yourself that you are unstoppable. Life is unpredictable. It throws curveballs when you least expect them, and sometimes it feels like everything is spinning out of control. But here's the empowering truth. While you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. This simple yet profound realization is the key to reclaiming your peace, your power, and your purpose. When you shift your focus from what you can't change to what you can influence, you take back the reins of your life. Think about the things that stress you out most. Is it other people's opinions? The weather? Traffic? These are all examples of external factors, things outside your sphere of control. No matter how much energy you pour into worrying about them, they remain beyond your reach. And yet, so many of us waste hours, days, even years obsessing over these uncontrollable elements, believing that if we just think hard enough or try hard enough, we can somehow bend them to our will. Spoiler alert, you can't. What you can do is redirect your energy toward what you can control. Your mindset, your actions, and your reactions. Let's break this down further. Your mindset is the lens through which you view the world. It shapes how you interpret challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. When you focus on what you can control, you train your mind to look for solutions instead of dwelling on problems. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic. You could sit there fuming, letting frustration consume you. Or you could use the time to listen to an inspiring podcast, practice deep breathing, or simply enjoy a moment of stillness. The traffic itself hasn't changed, but your experience of it has. That's the power of focusing on what you can control. Your actions are another area where you hold immense power. While you can't control outcomes, you can control the effort you put in. Success isn't guaranteed, but action increases your chances exponentially. Every step you take brings you closer to your goals, even if progress feels slow. The key is consistency. Show up every day, even when motivation wanes. Trust that small, deliberate actions compound over time, creating results that far exceed your expectations. When you focus on doing what you can today, tomorrow takes care of itself. Reactions are perhaps the most overlooked aspect of control. Life will always present challenges, some minor, others monumental, but how you react determines their impact on you. Reacting impulsively, driven by emotion, often leads to regret. On the other hand, pausing to respond thoughtfully allows you to navigate difficulties with grace and clarity. For instance, if someone says something hurtful, you can't control their words, but you can choose not to let them define your mood or self-worth. By focusing on your reaction, you transform conflict into an opportunity for growth. Now, let's talk about boundaries. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful ways to focus on what you can control. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about protecting your time, energy, and well-being. When you say no to things that drain you, you create space for what truly matters. Whether it's declining unnecessary commitments, limiting toxic relationships, or carving out time for self-care, boundaries empower you to live intentionally. They remind you that your needs are valid and that prioritizing yourself isn't selfish. It's essential. Another critical element of focusing on what you can control is embracing responsibility. Responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It means owning your role in shaping your life. When you take responsibility for your choices, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance. Instead, you recognize that you have the power to create change. This mindset shift is liberating because it puts you in the driver's seat. You become the architect of your life, designing it with intention and purpose. But here's the catch. Focusing on what you can control requires discipline. It's easy to get swept away by distractions, worries, and what-ifs. Staying grounded takes practice. One effective way to build this habit is through mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches you to stay present, to anchor yourself in the here and now instead of getting lost in thoughts about the past or future. When you're mindful, you naturally gravitate toward what you can influence, leaving behind what you can't. Imagine how different your life would feel if you stopped wasting energy on things outside your control. Picture yourself calm, focused, and empowered, channeling your efforts into meaningful actions that align with your values. How much lighter would your mental load be? How much more productive would your days become? Focusing on what you can control doesn't eliminate challenges. It transforms how you face them. It replaces helplessness with hope, frustration with determination, and chaos with clarity. So how will you start focusing on what you can control today? Will you set a boundary to protect your peace? Will you take one actionable step toward your goal? Or will you pause before reacting, choosing thoughtfulness over impulsivity? Whatever you decide, remember this: control isn't about having power over everything. It's about mastering the art of influence within your own life. And when you master that art, you unlock a level of freedom and fulfillment that nothing can take away. Gratitude is more than just a polite thank you. It's a mindset, a practice, and a powerful tool for transforming your life. When you cultivate gratitude, something extraordinary happens. You shift your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. You stop seeing the world through the lens of scarcity and start noticing the richness that already surrounds you. And in doing so, you open the door to peace, a deep, lasting sense of contentment that no external circumstance can take away. Think about how often we dwell on what we don't have. We scroll through social media, comparing our lives to highlight reels. We obsess over goals we haven't yet achieved or things we wish were different. This constant focus on lack leaves us feeling empty, restless, and unfulfilled. But here's the truth. Happiness doesn't come from acquiring more. It comes from appreciating what you already have. Gratitude flips the script, reminding you that abundance isn't something you chase. It's something you recognize. When you practice gratitude, you train your brain to notice the good. It's like shining a spotlight on the positive aspects of your life, no matter how small they may seem. Did you wake up today? That's a gift. Do you have access to clean water, food, or shelter? Those are miracles. Do you have people who care about you, even if it's just one person? That's worth celebrating. Gratitude helps you see these blessings clearly, shifting your perspective from not enough to more than enough. And when you live from this place of abundance, stress and anxiety lose their grip on you. But gratitude isn't just about big, obvious blessings. Some of the most profound moments of gratitude come from the smallest things. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of laughter, the taste of your favorite meal. These tiny joys are easy to overlook in the rush of daily life, but they hold immense power. When you pause to appreciate them, you create moments of stillness and connection. You remind yourself that happiness isn't found in grand achievements or material possessions. It's found in the present moment, in the simple act of being alive. Let's talk about how gratitude rewires your brain. Neuroscience shows that practicing gratitude activates the parts of your brain associated with reward, empathy, and emotional regulation. In other words, gratitude literally makes you happier and more resilient. The more you practice it, the stronger these neural pathways become, making it easier to find joy even in challenging times. Gratitude also counteracts negativity bias, the tendency to focus on bad experiences over good ones. By intentionally seeking out things to be grateful for, you balance the scales, creating a healthier, more optimistic outlook on life. Now, imagine starting each day with gratitude. Before you even get out of bed, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're thankful for. They don't have to be monumental. They can be as simple as a good night's sleep, a supportive friend, or the opportunity to try again today. This practice sets the tone for your entire day, grounding you in positivity and possibility. Over time, it becomes second nature. You begin to notice beauty and blessings everywhere, even in the midst of hardship. Gratitude teaches you that challenges and gifts often coexist, and that recognizing both is key to finding peace. Another powerful aspect of gratitude is its ability to deepen relationships. When you express appreciation for others, whether through words, actions, or simply your presence, you strengthen your connections with them. Gratitude reminds people that they matter, that their efforts are seen and valued. And when you feel truly seen and appreciated, you naturally want to give back. This creates a cycle of generosity and kindness that enriches everyone involved. Gratitude transforms not only your own life, but also the lives of those around you. But cultivating gratitude isn't always easy, especially during tough times. When you're facing loss, failure, or pain, it can feel impossible to find something to be thankful for. Yet this is precisely when gratitude matters most. It doesn't mean ignoring your struggles or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it means acknowledging the light even in the darkest moments. Maybe it's the support of a loved one, the strength you've discovered within yourself, or the hope that better days lie ahead. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it helps you carry it with grace. One of the most beautiful things about gratitude is that it's always available to you. No matter where you are or what you're going through, there's always something to be grateful for, even if it's just the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still capable of growth. Gratitude reminds you that life itself is a gift, and that every experience, good or bad, has something to teach you. It invites you to approach each day with curiosity and wonder, knowing that even the hardest moments carry hidden blessings. So how will you practice gratitude today? Will you write down 3 things you're thankful for? Will you tell someone how much they mean to you? Or will you simply pause and savor a moment of joy, however fleeting it may be? Whatever you choose, remember this: gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a choice. It's a decision to focus on what's working instead of what's broken, to celebrate abundance instead of fixating on lack. And when you make that choice consistently, you unlock a level of peace and fulfillment that nothing can shake. Living authentically means showing up as your true self, unapologetically and without fear. It's about aligning your actions with your values, speaking your truth, and honoring the person you were born to be, not the person others expect you to become. Authenticity isn't always easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to stand apart from the crowd. But when you live authentically, something incredible happens. You find freedom. Freedom from the need for approval, freedom from the weight of pretense, and freedom to create a life that feels deeply meaningful. Think about how often we mold ourselves to fit someone else's expectations. We wear masks to please others, suppress our desires to avoid conflict, and chase goals that don't truly resonate with us. Why? Because it's safer, easier, and less risky than standing out. But here's the cost of living this way. Over time, you lose touch with who you really are. You wake up one day feeling disconnected, unfulfilled, and unsure of what you even want anymore. The truth is, no amount of external validation can replace the peace that comes from being authentic. Only when you strip away the layers of expectation and embrace your true self can you experience real joy. Authenticity starts with self-awareness. You have to know yourself, your values, your passions, your strengths, and even your flaws to live in alignment with them. This means taking time to reflect on what truly matters to you. What makes you feel alive? What principles guide your decisions? Who do you want to be in this world? These questions might not have immediate answers, and that's okay. The journey to authenticity is ongoing. It's about continuously checking in with yourself, ensuring that your choices reflect the person you're striving to become. But here's the challenge. Living authentically often means going against the grain. Society has rules, norms, and expectations, and stepping outside of them can feel uncomfortable. People may judge you, misunderstand you, or even try to pull you back into conformity. That's why authenticity requires resilience. It demands that you stay rooted in your truth, even when the world pushes back. Remember, though, that every time you choose authenticity over approval, you strengthen your sense of self-worth. You prove to yourself that your voice matters, and that's a lesson worth learning. One of the most powerful aspects of authenticity is its ability to inspire others. When you live boldly and unapologetically, you give others permission to do the same. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are, they're individuals who've embraced their uniqueness, refusing to shrink themselves to fit into boxes created by others. Their authenticity draws you in because it reminds you of the beauty of being human, the messy, imperfect, yet extraordinary experience of simply being yourself. By choosing to live authentically, you become a beacon of light for those around you, encouraging them to step into their own truth. Now let's talk about the relationship between authenticity and purpose. Purpose isn't something you find, it's something you create by living in alignment with your values. When you act authentically, you naturally gravitate toward activities, relationships, and goals that bring meaning to your life. You stop chasing success for the sake of external recognition and start pursuing paths that ignite your soul. This shift transforms work into passion, effort into fulfillment, and moments into memories. Living authentically doesn't guarantee an easy life, but it does promise a life worth living. Another key element of authenticity is embracing imperfection. Too often we believe that being authentic means having everything figured out, that we must present ourselves as polished, confident, and flawless. But authenticity is the opposite of perfection. It's about owning your quirks, your mistakes, and your vulnerabilities. It's about saying, this is me, and I'm enough. When you embrace your imperfections, you free yourself from the pressure to be perfect. You realize that your flaws aren't weaknesses. They're part of what makes you uniquely beautiful. Living authentically also means setting boundaries. Boundaries are an expression of self-respect, a way of protecting your energy and staying true to your values. They allow you to say yes to what aligns with your truth and no to what doesn't. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. It ensures that you're living for yourself, not for others. And when you honor your boundaries consistently, you build a life that reflects your priorities, not someone else's agenda. Imagine waking up each day excited to be yourself. Imagine moving through the world with confidence, knowing that you're exactly where you're meant to be. How much lighter would your heart feel? How much brighter would your future seem? Living authentically doesn't mean you'll never face challenges or doubts. It means you'll face them as your true self, armed with the knowledge that you're worthy just as you are. Authenticity gives you roots to stand firm and wings to soar. So, how will you choose authenticity today? Will you speak your truth, even if your voice shakes? Will you pursue a dream that scares you but excites your soul? Or will you simply take one small step toward being more honest with yourself and others? Whatever you decide, remember this. Authenticity isn't a destination. It's a practice. It's a commitment to showing up fully day after day as the person you were always meant to be. And when you make that commitment, you unlock a level of peace and fulfillment that nothing else can provide. Knowing is not enough. Understanding the path to peace, authenticity, and fulfillment is only half the journey. The rest lies in action. Ideas without execution remain dreams, and inspiration without effort fades into regret. If you've been waiting for the perfect moment to start letting go of what no longer serves you, to embrace gratitude, or to live authentically, let me remind you, there is no perfect moment. The only time you truly have is now, and today, right here, right now, is your chance to take that first step toward the life you deserve. Action transforms intention into reality. It bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Think about it. Every great achievement began with a single decision, a choice to move forward despite fear, doubt, or uncertainty. That's how progress works. You don't need to have everything figured out before you begin. In fact, clarity often comes through action, not before it. When you take even the smallest step, you create momentum. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence fuels further action. Before you know it, you're farther along than you ever imagined possible. But here's the challenge. Taking action requires courage. It means stepping outside your comfort zone, facing the unknown, and risking failure. Fear will try to stop you. It always does. It will whisper lies, telling you that you're not ready, not good enough, or not capable. But remember this, fear isn't truth. It's just a feeling. Feelings pass, but actions leave lasting impact. Every time you act in spite of fear, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your doubts. You rewrite the narrative from I can't to I did. Let's break this down into practical steps. What does taking action look like in real life? It doesn't have to be monumental. Sometimes the most powerful actions are the simplest ones. Start by identifying one thing you can do today to align with your goals or values. Maybe it's writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Maybe it's having an honest conversation with someone you care about. Or maybe it's setting aside 10 minutes to reflect on what truly matters to you. Whatever it is, commit to doing it. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Small actions compound over time, creating results that far exceed their initial effort. Now imagine what happens when you make action a habit. Imagine waking up each day with purpose, knowing exactly what you need to do to move closer to your dreams. How much more intentional would your life feel? How much more fulfilling would your days become? Taking consistent action doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes you. It builds discipline, resilience, and a sense of agency. It reminds you that you are the creator of your life, not a passive observer. And when you embody that mindset, anything becomes possible. One of the most empowering aspects of action is its ability to silence self-doubt. When you're stuck in thought, overanalyzing every detail, fear and hesitation thrive. But when you act, you shift the focus from thinking to doing. Suddenly, there's no room for second guessing because you're too busy moving forward. This doesn't mean ignoring planning altogether. Preparation has its place, but at some point you must trust yourself enough to take the leap. Action teaches you that perfection isn't required. Effort is what counts. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Another key element of taking action is accountability. Accountability keeps you grounded and focused. Share your goals with someone you trust, a friend, a mentor, or even yourself through journaling. Having someone or something to answer to increases your commitment and motivates you to follow through. But ultimately, the person you're accountable to most is you. Every choice you make either moves you closer to or further from the life you envision. Choose wisely. Choose action. Let's talk about the ripple effect of action. When you take bold steps toward your dreams, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. People see your determination and realize they too are capable of more than they thought. Action isn't just personal, it's communal. It creates waves of positive change that extend far beyond your immediate circle. By choosing to act, you contribute to a world where growth, authenticity, and possibility reign supreme. So what will your first action be today? Will you write down a plan to release what's holding you back? Will you reach out to someone who needs encouragement? Or will you simply take a deep breath and remind yourself that you are worthy of peace and happiness? Whatever it is, don't wait for the right moment. The right moment is now. Trust yourself, trust the process, and trust that every step you take brings you closer to the life you've always wanted. Remember, action isn't just about achieving goals. It's about becoming the person you were meant to be. Each step you take shapes your character, strengthens your resolve, and deepens your connection to your true self. So rise, move, act, because the life you dream of doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. And today, you have the power to choose. You've made it this far. You've listened, reflected, and taken in the wisdom shared here today. Now, as we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to carry one truth with you. Hope is never lost. No matter where you are right now, whether you're standing tall or feeling like you're barely holding on, there is always a way forward. Life may test you, challenge you, and sometimes break you, but within every struggle lies the seed of something greater. And that something greater begins with the belief that you are capable of finding peace, happiness, and purpose. Hope isn't passive, it's active. It's not just about wishing for better days, it's about creating them. Every step you take toward letting go, embracing gratitude, living authentically, and taking action plants a seed of hope in your heart. These seeds may start small, almost invisible, but over time, they grow into something extraordinary. They become the foundation of a life filled with meaning, resilience, and joy. So, even if you can't see the full picture yet, trust that what you're building matters. Trust that every effort counts. Every moment shapes you, and every choice moves you closer to the person you're meant to be. Let me remind you of something important. You don't have to have everything figured out to move forward. Too often we wait for clarity before we act, believing that we need all the answers before we can begin. But life doesn't work that way. Growth happens in the messy middle, in the spaces between knowing and not knowing. It's in those moments of uncertainty that you discover your strength, your courage, and your ability to adapt. So give yourself permission to stumble, to learn, and to evolve. Progress isn't linear, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep going. As you step into the next chapter of your life, remember this. You are stronger than you think. You've already overcome so much, even if you don't always recognize it. Every challenge you faced has shaped you into the resilient, beautiful person you are today. Those scars you carry, they're proof of your survival. Those dreams you hold on to, they're reminders of your potential. Don't let fear or doubt convince you otherwise. You were born to rise, to shine, and to make an impact in ways only you can. Now imagine waking up tomorrow with a renewed sense of purpose. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing someone who is worthy, capable, and loved, not because of what they've achieved, but simply because they exist. That person is you. That light is yours. And when you choose to nurture it, to protect it, and to share it with the world, you inspire others to do the same. Your journey doesn't just transform you, it ripples outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully understand. I want to leave you with a simple practice to carry with you. At the end of each day, ask yourself 2 questions. First, what did I do today to honor my true self? And second, what am I grateful for? These questions anchor you in authenticity and gratitude, reminding you of the power you hold to shape your own life. They encourage you to celebrate progress, no matter how small, and to find beauty in the everyday moments that might otherwise go unnoticed. Over time, these reflections will become habits, guiding you toward a life of peace and fulfillment. Finally, know this: you are never alone. Even in your darkest moments, there's a force greater than yourself, a quiet strength within you, a network of support around you, and a universe conspiring to help you grow. Lean into that, trust it. Allow it to guide you when the path feels unclear. And when doubt creeps in, remind yourself of the lessons you've learned here today. That letting go brings freedom, that gratitude opens doors, that authenticity sets you free, and that action creates change. These truths are your compass, leading you back to hope whenever you need it most. So take a deep breath. Feel the weight lift off your shoulders. You've got this. The road ahead may not always be easy, but it will be worth it. With every step you take, you prove to yourself that you are unstoppable, that no obstacle is too big, no dream too far out of reach. Failure is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the raw material of growth, the unpolished gem that holds within it the lessons you need to succeed. Yet so often we treat failure like an enemy instead of the teacher. We let it define us, shame us, and convince us that we're not good enough to keep going. But here's the truth. Failure doesn't determine your worth. It reveals your strength. Every time you fall and choose to rise again, you prove to yourself that you are resilient, capable, and unstoppable. Think about how failure feels in the moment. It's heavy, isn't it? Like a storm cloud hanging over your head, blocking out the light. It whispers lies, telling you that you'll never get it right, that you should give up before things get worse. But what if failure isn't the problem? What if the real issue is how we respond to it? When you shift your perspective, failure becomes less intimidating. It stops being a verdict on your abilities and starts being feedback for improvement. It shows you where you need to grow, adapt, and try again. Failure teaches you humility. It reminds you that you're human, that mistakes are inevitable, and perfection is an illusion. This lesson is invaluable because it keeps you grounded. When you accept that failure is part of the process, you stop fearing it. You realize that everyone fails, even the people who seem to have it all together. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is simple. Successful people don't let failure stop them. They use it as fuel to keep moving forward. Let's break this down further. Failure forces you to confront your limits, but it also pushes you to expand them. Every misstep reveals something new about yourself. What works, what doesn't, and what you're truly capable of achieving. For example, imagine launching a project that doesn't go as planned. At first, it might feel like a disaster. But when you take a step back and analyze what went wrong, you uncover insights that make your next attempt stronger. Failure isn't wasted effort, it's preparation for success. One of the most empowering aspects of failure is its ability to build resilience. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you develop through experience. Each time you face adversity and overcome it, you strengthen your ability to handle future challenges. Failure becomes a training ground, equipping you with the tools you need to navigate life's ups and downs. Over time, you realize that setbacks aren't permanent. They're temporary detours on the road to greatness. But here's the key. Learning from failure requires reflection. Without reflection, failure remains just another painful memory. To turn it into a stepping stone, you must ask yourself tough questions. What went wrong? What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this experience? These questions help you extract wisdom from the pain, transforming failure into growth. Reflection also allows you to celebrate the effort you put in, even if the outcome wasn't what you hoped for. Remember, trying is an act of courage, and courage deserves recognition. Now, imagine embracing failure as part of your journey. Imagine looking back on your life and seeing every stumble not as a mistake, but as a milestone. How much lighter would your heart feel? How much more confident would you become? When you reframe failure this way, it loses its power to paralyze you. Instead, it becomes a source of motivation, reminding you that every great achievement was built on a foundation of trial and error. You begin to see failure not as something to avoid, but as something to embrace, a necessary ingredient for success. Another powerful lesson failure teaches is patience. Success rarely happens overnight. It's the result of countless attempts, adjustments, and iterations. When you fail, you're reminded that progress takes time. You learn to trust the process, knowing that each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals. Patience helps you stay focused on the long game, resisting the temptation to give up when results don't come quickly. Finally, failure fosters gratitude. Yes, gratitude. When you fail, you gain a deeper appreciation for the victories, no matter how small. A single win after multiple losses feels monumental because you understand the effort it took to achieve it. Gratitude shifts your mindset from lack to abundance, helping you recognize the value in every experience, good or bad. So how will you approach failure today? Will you let it discourage you, or will you let it teach you? Will you view it as proof that you're not enough, or as evidence that you're growing? The choice is yours. And when you choose to see failure as a teacher rather than an enemy, you unlock a level of resilience and determination that nothing can shake. You remind yourself that success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about rising every time you fall. And every time you rise, you become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the life you're building. As we bring this journey to a close, I want you to pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of everything you've learned, the power of letting go, the strength and vulnerability, the courage to act, and the wisdom gained from failure. These aren't just ideas, they're tools. Tools that you now carry with you, ready to shape your life into something extraordinary. But here's the most important part. None of this matters unless you take what you've learned and put it into practice. The real magic happens when you move from inspiration to action. Let me remind you of something powerful. You are the author of your story. Every choice you make writes the next chapter. If there's one thing I hope you'll take away from this, it's that you have the power to rewrite your narrative at any time. No matter where you've been or what you've faced, today is a new page, a fresh start. And on this page, you get to decide how the story unfolds. Will it be filled with fear and hesitation, or will it be marked by courage, growth, and hope? The pen is in your hand. Now, I promised you a reward for sticking with me until the end, and here it is. A simple yet transformative practice to carry with you every single day. At the start of each morning, ask yourself one question: what can I do today to move closer to the life I want? Write down your answer, just one small action, and commit to doing it. It could be as simple as writing down 3 things you're grateful for, reaching out to someone who inspires you, or taking 5 minutes to reflect on your goals. This daily habit keeps you aligned with your purpose and ensures that you're always moving forward, even if it's just one step at a time. But here's the thing, transformation doesn't happen in isolation. Surround yourself with people and resources that uplift and inspire you. If this message resonated with you, if it sparked something inside, you can find more content like this by subscribing to this channel. By joining our community, you'll gain access to videos, insights, and strategies designed to help you grow, heal, and thrive. Together, we can create a space where motivation meets action, where dreams turn into reality, and where hope becomes a way of life. Before you go, I have one final request. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a friend who's feeling stuck, a family member navigating a tough season, or a colleague striving for growth. When you share this message, you're not just passing along words, you're offering encouragement, support, and a reminder that no one has to face their struggles alone. Your act of kindness might be the spark someone else needs to begin their own journey toward peace and fulfillment. And don't forget to hit that like button. It may seem small, but it means the world to us. It tells us that this message is making an impact, that it's touching lives and inspiring change. Every like, comment, and share helps amplify this work, reaching more people who need to hear these words of hope and empowerment. As you step away from this moment, I want you to carry one last thought with you. You are enough. Right now, exactly as you are worthy of love, happiness, and success. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. All you need to do is trust the process, honor your journey, and keep showing up, because every sunrise brings a new opportunity to create the life you desire. Every challenge is a chance to grow stronger, and every dream is within your reach if you're willing to take the steps to claim it. So rise, move, believe. The road ahead won't always be easy, but it will be worth it. With every step you take, you're proving to yourself that you are unstoppable. that no obstacle is too big, no dream too far out of reach. Keep going, because the best version of you is waiting just around the corner. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for choosing to invest in your growth. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're here with you, cheering you on every step of the way. Now go out there and live the life you were born to live. The world is waiting for your light.